Hello, everyone, and I think we are live. I think I'm okay. I'm still, I'm still getting hang of it. I don't think. Let me check that. See, I'm a one-man army, so I, I don't know what's happening where. So yeah, thank you and welcome for joining us today. This is the fourth edition, or is it the third edition? It's the fourth edition of Learn and Grow gatherings by Liberated Tester. Today we have an amazing topic. Everyone is using Selenium for all the functional automation and web automation and everything, right? But how do you? There's always a question of how do you actually get to know the performance of the application. And I think this is something that today's speaker and today's topic is going to help you with. If you haven't already checked out our previous episodes, they are there live on YouTube. You can see the recordings and give your feedback on the recordings, and if you try anything of that, and all of them are open source, by the way. So we did Boyka framework first, with web, mobile, API, everything automation. And after that, we did a Keyploy session, which is an amazing application, which is based on the eBPF platform. And it uses, you can build your mocks, you can build your test really easily. And if you haven't already checked out, I will be pasting the links in the chat. And sorry, I'm phasing out for some reason, but yeah. So we'll be doing that in the chat. And then without further delay, I think I will welcome our today's speaker, Mohit Srivastava from Accenture. Hi, Mohit. How are you doing today?
Hey, hi Gunesh. Yeah, fine. Thanks a lot. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I just got in after my office, and then just this whole setup thing. I don't know, but I'm still getting used to it. And how's your day been? Is it working? Is it off? And on your side, how's it?
It was working. It's crazy. And also with the family, yeah, you need to balance out both the things. With it's going fine. And
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. And just one thing to add, I'm really appreciate like the way with over here Libertas we are trying to bring the community together. It's really helpful. What we are doing over here, right? So like sharing the knowledge across the equality team and
Yeah.
yeah, really spreading out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
really
It is not possible without people like you, right? So thank you for being here. Thank you for giving your 1 hour of time to us, and then hopefully we'll get a lot of feedback from the session, and people would learn something, and they may be implemented, and we'll see the benefits of it growing along. So yeah, once again, welcome. If you want to give a bit of introduction about yourself, I can add 1 or 2 lines, but obviously I won't be that effective. So yeah,
sure.
so just to introduce Mohit. Mohit is a good friend of Lalit, who I am good friend of. So that's how the connection started, and that's how we got to know each other. And then Mohit said, "Oh, I'm doing a lot of things with Selenium. There's basically on the performance KPIs and also live reporting that I'm doing something very cool." So I said, "Why not? We'll get it on. It's all so as you know, right? This year's all theme is like open source and APIs. So whatever fits in the theme are welcome, and by that I mean it's an open invitation for the people as well. If you are watching, if you have something that you can contribute or tell to the community, which is something really cool, something out of the ordinary that you're already achieving with these open source fields, open source tools, you are more than welcome. Um, mohit has around 13 plus years of experience now, correct, Mohit? And
Yes.
you are currently working with Accenture. You have been with all sorts of testing, I believe, functional automation, non-performance. You have also been coaching and training people, right? So
Yeah.
why don't you tell us more about like what is your favorite thing to do? Like you have dabbled in a lot of things, but what is one most favorite thing that you have?
So for me, two things is what I like. First of all is automation. I'm a super lazy person, so I like to automate Even in my personal life, like I imagine I was automating IRCTC when the captcha was not there, right? So when they introduced that, then it's not getting anymore. I was automating finding an apartment in the city where I live, and yeah, which is also difficult. So yes, automation is something which is always interesting for me. Also in my personal life, I try to do something. And the second thing is the architectural topics, and this I came into when I started doing performance testing. So performance testing actually gave me an amazing view how the whole architecture looks like. Start the domain name server, load balancer, and a lot of technical things are there.
Yeah.
And till the end of the database and going to the third party systems and getting so. That was really interesting how at that high level you look at the complete picture, and then you get a lot of chance to learn a lot of things, how things are interacting with each other, to be honest. So
Correct.
these both topics are always interesting for me, and I would just love to jump into those areas, into automation and performance.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, not hearing the usual tools from performance when person is doing performance is really something else, because whenever you ask a person, right, oh, I'm using load runner to do performance, or I'm
Yes.
using JMeter to do performance, right, that's sort of answers which we usually get. But
Correct.
yours has been something different, and that's what actually got my attention. I really liked the way you're using some tool in a repurpose for some different aspect, right? So that's something that I
Correct.
really liked. Yeah.
Actually, the idea started with this DevOps thing. So now, like we early used to have separate teams. We have development and operations separate, and they started combining. You have
Yeah.
DevSecOps and everything. Yeah. And I always imagined that how can we reduce that, or how can we bring that optimization in our testing phase? Like I write one script which could be
Yeah.
used for functional, maybe for performance, and also going further for, I don't know, for security. I don't know if it makes sense. Yeah, but that's the always idea to how we can reduce that optimization, because currently majorly wherever I see we have separate teams. As you said, they are separate tools,
Yeah.
and they all require separate scripting. So even if I have to test a small login logout functionality, Selenium or automation tool has a different scripting,
Uh-huh.
and performance, JMeter, load runner have their own scripting. So this there are multiple scripting happening for the same functionality, which somehow, yeah, for me it's like, okay, how can we reduce it? How can we combine it? Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
was
mean
the
that's really the crux of the matter, right? I mean, you
yes.
can't just always go ahead and say, oh no, this is the tool that will help me, and this is the only tool that I need. Otherwise, I
Correct.
can't do this particular form of testing and all, right? So which is not obviously correct. I mean, we can't just go ahead and procure tools and just start because the whole world is using that, right? So
Correct.
yeah, so
True.
that is something, and I think true. I mean, people call test automation and all, but I think the true automation is to make use of the tools that you have.
Hmm.
I think I've heard a quote about it, like be. I'm not sure if the correct word is frugal, but I think be frugal with what you have, and if
Hmm.
you are frugal, then you try to make use of the things in the right and the best way. I'm just going to. Oh yes, correct. I was right. So there's a TED talk on that, frugal architect. So
Okay.
I will share a link for anyone who is interested, uh, on the chat or on the DM if you DM me. Anyways, yeah. So without going further off track, let's let's get on with what we are here for today. So we'll start with the performance KPIs first. Yeah, is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just give a small intro just for my career paths. Yeah. So as you said, I think 13 years of experience both.
Yes.
Started initially into more development and operation kind of tasks. So it was a small team which also gave a good insights. And then yeah, when got into test automation, really enjoyed Selenium. So was my first tool over there,
Mm.
and I'm still with Selenium. I'm like just love it, the way it has been improved, and the open source community that we have around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did
yes,
you had
and
a chance to try Playwright by any chance? Or
not yet. I have in my bucket
okay.
list because I heard a lot about Playwright. I have to check that out. So
Yeah.
I've worked with
That.
Toscas earlier and UFT and all, but yeah, Playwright
Mm.
is in my list. I need to give it a try.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice. Yeah, because I've also heard a lot about Playwright. I'm I'm very hesitant to move to Java script again or TypeScript again. They have a Java thing, but what I have heard is the whole feature list is not available in Java. It's only
Correct.
available in
Correct.
TypeScript and stuff. So I'm still kind of hesitant to move to TypeScript. I started learning TypeScript, but somehow it just got off track again. So I still need to get on with that. Okay, so without further delay, let's.
Sure.
I think you're already sharing your screen. Let me add that to the
Yes.
stream. I hope it's visible. Yeah, I think it's visible. Okay.
Yes.
So I am going to go off now. I'm going to hand it over to you. And
Sure.
let me see if I can get this background adjusted to something which is not moving. Just a second. That's the downside of keeping experimenting with a lot of tools, just because they got free plans. So just a second.
No, sure.
I think this is better. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go off, and over to you, Mohit.
Yeah. Thanks, Ganesh. So again, welcome to all the participants in this call. And okay, so let me structure it how I want to proceed. There are two topic as mentioned by Ganesh. So one would be how we can integrate Selenium with Lighthouse, and then what is Lighthouse and what it is giving out. I'll just give it in a minute. And the second topic would be how to get the live status when you are executing a Selenium script. And we will also go into deep, like what is this about. Okay, so first thing, Lighthouse. Lighthouse is an open source tool available in Chrome browser. Yeah, so you can always access it via developer tools over here. Yeah, so you can see this is the Lighthouse over here. And Lighthouse actually helps you to generate a small report. Okay, and what does this report gives? This reports give you the performance of your UI UX page. Now there are two different areas into performance. One is what we test via JMeter or a load runner, where we make a backend HTTP call. So it's more like API and backend testing, where UI rendering is not involved. Yeah, if you go back into the software development phase, earlier a lot of activities were happening on the server side. Let's say you are trying to register yourself, even if you're writing a wrong email address or a wrong phone number. When you used to click on the register button, then you used to get the feedback from the server saying something is not formatted correctly. Going further down the line in current modern world, we have so many JavaScript framework that have been introduced, like Angular, React, Vue.js, and also with the backend Node.js. So with these client JS, they are doing a lot of activities are now happening on the customer browser, or let's say the client browser or the end user browsers. Yeah. So all those verifications, a lot of JavaScript getting executed on the browser, which is computing a lot of information over there. Yeah. So with that, it gets important to check also how is the performance of your UI page. Yeah, the rendering, how is the end customer is feeling at the page when it is going. So one is the API part of it, the backend, which is covered by JMeters and other applications. But with the UI part, there are something that has to be captured. And then for this, there are 6 Google Core Vitals. Yeah. Maybe we can just go into this over here. Let's say CLS, do we have, or yeah. So there are different KPIs that are now getting captured into the UI UX performance areas. One is like first contentful page, large contentful page, cumulative layout shift. Cumulative layout shift is more of a UX experience, like when you're trying to shift from your browser on a desktop to a laptop or a tab. Different web vitals like total time, total blocking time, time to interact. So there are like 6 to 7 KPIs. I'll not go much into details that are getting captured. They are called core web vitals. Yeah. So for the UI UX performance testing, that's how it is getting captured. So here is a large contentful page, interaction to the next page, cumulative layout shift, and then there are 6, 7 more KPIs that they capture. So these KPIs helps you to understand or give you an idea how is the UI rendering or the UI is looking for the end user. Yeah. And that's where Lighthouse comes into the picture. So what Lighthouse is do is Lighthouse helps give you 3 different modes, and in these 3 different modes you have different reports getting generated. Yeah, that there's a purpose of these things. Yeah, so if you look on the initial level, right, at start of this Lighthouse panel, you can see there's a navigation mode, which is a default mode for all the static pages which are available. Then you have a time span mode, which would give you a report for a particular time span, and you can do multiple user actions in middle, and it will then capture those KPIs that they have to capture. And then there's a snapshot. report would give you the performance of that particular instance of that page, that how it was loaded. Yeah, and we will go slightly into those topics. How does it work? But just know about. And then what all these reports are actually giving up. There are different categories that this report generate. Performance, which is a combination of all those KPIs that we discussed. Accessibility, so where we check how is the formatting of the page looks like, whether how accessible is for the different diverse people or users that you are using your browsers or your web page. Best practices is more like on the security areas, and also overall coding, best coding practices, what you can improve on your UI. And SEO is a very important topic, is also on the search engine optimization. So if you are in a testing area where you are trying to work on a website which is more like an e-commerce, where you have you need to make sure that you have the right meta tags available over there, so that whenever somebody try to search a relevant topic, your websites are coming up in the Google search results or into other search engines. Yeah, so that's something. SEO is stand for search engine optimization. So you're making sure that your web page is optimized for the searching, for the search engine. Okay. And then progressive web app is more on, so what all web apps are available into your browser, which might be also coming up in mobile and tablet, and how they look like. So I'll just generate one navigation report. Actually, I already have it. Maybe I will just save some time to not go it, but okay. This is how a report looks like. Yeah. So you can see there are different categories that we just discussed right now. Yeah. So first one is performance. You can say it is calculated by some KPIs. First contentful paint, largest contentful paint. So paints are like the bigger chunks of data that are coming in. Total blocking time. So let's say when you're trying to load a page, how much time the page was blocked. Yeah. Cumulative layout shift, as I said, if you are moving the browser into a different resolution to a tab mobile, how it works. Speed index is there. Now, sometimes they also come up with another KPI called total time. Time to interact. That is also very important KPIs to give you an understanding what was the time for client or the end user to wait to get it interact to the page. Okay. Then there is a tree map which give you different screenshot on how it is happening, and then you get the diagnosis. So I will not go into too much into diagnosis because this is more going into now development areas. Yeah, but it might not give you a complete information where the performance issues are. But what I understood from the differently aligning with different development team, that they give you a good starting point, and at least give you a good score where are your web page standing from the performance point of view. Yeah. So this is a tool. It is an open source tool available. Now, the logic or the idea what I was thinking is, currently this is done by many UI developers, but they are doing it manually. Yeah. And I was trying to think how we can automate this, because while I'm running the Selenium script, I would be running these pages, or I would be hitting those pages with the different functionality checks. And I was thinking, okay, if while running a script, if I can also come up with performance KPIs or a Lighthouse report, which might help the developers, so that we can reduce that manual effort of doing it separately. Yeah. And plus, we as a tester, we are always working on better environments. So it's not always a dev environment where developers are involved, but we are more on a higher environment where you have much more integration platforms available and things are much more better from the environment perspective. Okay. So that was the overall goal on this Lighthouse report. Yeah. So it gives a lot of, yes.
Mohit, sorry. One question. I'm new to Lighthouse. Okay. So I don't know much about this, but all these indicators that you see on the top, like this index, if you want to call it an index. So this is indexed against like what? Everything on the web, or is there a subset or?
Okay, so these performance, you can see performance KPIs are indexed. So they are getting captured while you are running those Lighthouse generators. Yeah. So this is very specific to this page. This is not getting compared. Okay. But when you come to accessibility and search engine optimization and best practices, yes, this is then getting compared with the other pages which are currently in the market as a standard pages, which are which are getting massive. So Google itself is having its own standard from the way it is getting accessed and the search engines that getting used over here. With those algorithms, they come up onto our page and check how much relevant is that data. Yeah, for the users. Yeah, so these three categories or indexes are definitely getting compared with the other standard pages which are out there.
Okay. Yeah. And the last one is The one which is like a
So
circle.
last one is more on the progressive web app. This is very particular
Okay.
to depending if you have small web apps over there, or like kind of ad apps coming up or something. Yeah, so it might depending on web page to web page how it is configured. Yeah. So over here there is nothing, because I think there's not much for this page. But yeah, and
Is it like the micro UI thing that they call? I'm not sure if that's the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then also let's say this is a good information, right? So we are using a deprecated API, maybe that would give so some things, the team is UI development team is always using some I would say libraries which they might not get a chance to upgrade, or they might not see any issues over there, and it just gives those extra information, for the team. And then these KPIs, they have their own category how they are getting calculated. So there's a separate report called Crux report. From which these KPIs come out, and then they are calculated in a particular manner to get you that overall performance figure.
Okay. Okay.
So green is always good. Yeah. Orange is still fine, but red, we should definitely look at it. Why there? Yeah. Okay. So now I'll get into these small projects. I just created a small project. I have also uploaded this project into the GitHub for the team to, or for the people to access over here.
Yeah, the link is already shared in the chat. If somebody wants to follow along, the link is already in the chat, so you can follow along if you want.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. So in past, there are people who have done the Selenium and Lighthouse integration. Yeah, and how my project is slightly different is all those integrations with Selenium and Lighthouse were very specific to the navigation pages. So navigation pages are the static pages which are accessible from outside. But I was never able to find a solution where we were able to invoke the time span mode and the snapshot mode. Now you might say, Mohit, why you need them? Yeah. So multiple reasons. At least in the project where I'm working, they are using something called location hook. Yeah, they are some specific functionality into React.js. Now these location hooks actually creates a URL which is actually hiding a lot of important information. Imagine you're trying to search a product in Amazon, let's say product A. So the URL would look like Amazon/search ampersand product equal to A. Yeah. And then you're trying to search a product B, then the product equal to A changes to product equal to. That's how the URL will change, right? Now with this location hook, what will happen is in the URL, you will always see Amazon/search, but it won't show which product you are searching on. Yeah. So because the pages are still changing behind the scene, but it is not updating in the URL. Yeah. That's a trick in the location hook. So location hook helps you to hide some information on the URL and better manage how to traverse the pages within a portal. So in that areas, navigation mode was not very helpful. Yeah, it was not at all able to upload the page and then even give the right information. Then we look into it, and then we come to a conclusion, okay, we need to move into a time span mode or a snapshot reporting, which would help us to give us those KPIs. So I looked into the Lighthouse source code. They were all in JavaScript, and there are two areas how we build it up. So I'll now go into first part is the Selenium run JavaScript. So I have created a small JavaScript which would help us to do it. We'll run through it, how is it on a high level, and then I will show you how we integrate this JavaScript with our Selenium Java code. Okay, so there are 4 things that we need for our JavaScript to work. One is a puppeteer. It's a module inside the Node.js. Yeah. Okay. Maybe, sorry, I just missed it. So we need Node.js for running this. Yeah. Because the whole Lighthouse program, which you can access via CLI, is available on the Node.js. Yeah. So we need puppeteer on the Node.js. That's one of the module. We need a read line that is helpful for reading the line from the console. And we'll come to it why we need that. We need definitely the Lighthouse package, the whole source code of the Lighthouse from the JavaScript area. And then we have file system. This is required for just generating the report at the end. Okay. Moving further, we are defining a specific port, and also the IP address comes later. The idea is we are running this JavaScript on a particular port, and we'll try to open our browser also on the same port, so that when the actions are happening via our Selenium automation, this port is getting also read by the Selenium JavaScript. Yeah. Okay. Going further, then there are URLs. So when we invoke this JavaScript, there are some set of parameters we passed on into CMD command, and then those all things I'm trying to read over here. So I'm trying to read port if I've passed on a port. I'm trying to read a URL if I have passed it on, the name of the report. So the way I want to structure the name of the report, and the timeout. So if I have, in case the web page gets stuck or some other thing happens, I always like to have these timeouts, because then you are not going into endless loop or like completely hanging state. Yeah, and then you have a particular timeout where you can come out. Okay, so I will not for the JavaScript, I'll not go into too deep, but just quickly to give an input. Over here, I'm trying to open up an input and output stream on my JavaScript. And then on the browser URL, as you can see, I'm trying to hit a port with the same localhost, right? So it is 127.0.0.1. We're just trying to use a localhost. And with a particular port, I'm trying to set up a browser. Yeah. And then over here, we are opening a page and keeping it up and running, and then we later close it, so we make sure that the port is not blocked over here. Then this is one of the JavaScript command where we wait for the navigation URL to complete. So these all methods that you jump in over here are coming from Lighthouse. That's the whole reason that we need a Lighthouse module. So in Lighthouse, they already have this navigation mode, the time span mode, and now I'm trying to utilize those source code to utilize to get it access for our Selenium. So in this, there's a navigation mode. So this method would help you to get that navigation output. Then we have a time span mode where you say start time span, and then my code wait until somebody writes finish on the command line. Yeah, as soon as it receives finish, it comes out and then it will do an end time span. So this would help me to get a time span Lighthouse report. And then as an extra, we also have a snapshot function that we are calling to get you the snapshot report of the final page that we have landed on. And then, yeah, as I said, the file system helps you to generate the report and then store it in a particular location where you want, and then exit. Yeah, that's a small Selenium run JavaScript that I created to get me that time span mode and the snapshot report. Yeah, okay. And now how it goes into the Selenium area. So this is my public static void main, a normal class. Yeah. And over here, this is a very important where we start integrating. So if you can see that in the Chrome options, I'm trying to set up the browser to be really open on a particular IP address and on a port. And on the same port, we will have our Selenium JavaScript that would be running and listening to the same port. So whatever actions will happen on this Chrome browser would be read by the Selenium JavaScript, and the respective Lighthouse report would be generated. Okay. Then there is a Chrome debug method. It's a small method. What I'm doing over here is I'm just setting up the port of Chrome debug as 9222. Yeah, so that this is just from the command line perspective, that it is set from the command, and the Selenium, when we execute that Node.js, it would be read over there. Okay. Then if you go further, it's very normal on the automation side. So we are just getting the Chrome drivers initiated. We get that we navigate to a particular URL. We are taking some action. So you can see we are finding some element. And over here, we are calling a method called start time span, because now before running any actions on clicks, you can see, or sending a key to the search, I just want to start a time span so that we capture those user actions and get that Lighthouse report. And in the time span is the place where I make another command call. This is again a CMD command call that we're making. And here you can see that I'm trying to run a Selenium run.javascript with a particular URL. So URL has been already set, which we have passed on earlier, and the report name and the particular timeout section. So if you see, this is the place where we invoke our Selenium JavaScript on the command line. Okay. And this is the node method, right? So we are trying to invoke this via the Node.js. So this would be started, and then we will run into the browser. We'll try to search some elements, try to click on them, try to search for a particular content, and then at the end we come up and do an end time span. Now, one thing is very important over here. If we see, when I started the time span, whatever process that I built on a command prompt, right? It says the CMD command process. I'm trying to return it. Why? Because at the end of the time span where I have to close it, I need to pass on a finish method, because my Selenium JavaScript is continuously waiting until somebody writes finish to it. As soon as it gets the finish, it comes out, and then it will be an end time span also on the JavaScript side. Hence, that's how we do it. So we are trying to send out the process with the same object that is actually execute the start time span, and in that we just open up write stream and it writes finish. Yeah, so that's how it comes out. So I will now run it, and then we'll see how the report looks like. Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay, one more thing I think before I jump into that topic, now I remember just looking at the notes. There are two things which I want to call it out. So normally the pom.xml will have our Lighthouse artifacts as well, yeah, and the normal JUnit, WebDriver Manager, and Selenium. So nothing much over here. One thing would be important is also the package JSON. Now package JSON is like a pom.xml for Node.js, which will give you the important libraries that you have to capture while you download the Lighthouse. Okay, so everything is there in the public repository, and also share the list of commands that you have to execute in a particular sequence to set it up. Yeah. Currently, my README file is not updated with those commands, but I'll put it over there so that you guys can also do it. But I'll also share it over here how to do it to get that done. So this package JSON will give you all the required libraries that Lighthouse required to get executed properly on the Node.js side. Okay. Any queries from the team? Any queries from the participant until now before we proceed?
There are no queries as such, but I think in the pom.xml, I saw one dependency for Selenium Lighthouse.
So there's Selenium Java over here, WebDriver Manager, and JUnit.
There was one more. Oh, that was the name.
That's the name. Yeah.
Okay. So the artifact ID of your. Okay.
Correct. So just I think I don't know why it is getting.
So I just had one question. So
yes.
So we are doing this node thing in the same project. So let's say if I were to keep it at some different location so that maybe my different UI automation projects pick it up, is that a good idea? I mean, this won't take much space as such, but
no, sure, definitely. See, the only thing is when you're trying to run that Selenium start timestamp, right? Where is it over here? So when you're trying to invoke this, you need to make sure that you are giving the right path of your JavaScript and it gets captured.
Okay.
Yeah. There are two things of installing also Node.js. I would say it is better to install the Node.js rather than downloading the binary of it or like a zip format. So don't go for the portable one. So go for the Node one. But in case you're going for portable one, this command will only work if you have set up the right environment variables then for the Node.js.
Okay.
Yeah. So particularly for the people, if they want to go for the Node.js as a portable version, please make sure that you are setting up the right environment variable for your Node.js. Yeah. And if you install it, then automatically this gets set. So there's no concern over there on that part.
Yeah. So there is one question this is from Veer Kumar, that we are using Puppeteer, but I mean, what is the role here for the Puppeteer?
So Puppeteer is, so when I was looking around how to run our Lighthouse on via the command line API, Puppeteer was also one of the requirement that they need for this Node.js to work. Right? So the integration that they had initially also for the navigation mode, they had Puppeteer also as a library that they wanted, which will help us to get the Lighthouse on a Node.js platform and use all these functions that they have inside Node.js, like navigate and time span and snapshot. So that's where the Puppeteer was helping us out.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, this Puppeteer was earlier being used for test automation within Chrome, right? Or is it still? I mean, I know when it came out, I was,
Not sure now if it is still there. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Puppeteer was used initially for the automation a lot. Yeah.
I think after they introduced the CDP, I think nobody wanted to use Puppeteer. I think because I think Puppeteer was being used for the actually accessing the Chrome Dev Tools is what I think. I may be wrong, but yeah, that's what I think. Okay. Yeah, sorry, let's carry on.
Yeah, I'm just missing something. Just give me a minute. Okay. I think recently I messed up something in the project while, just give me a minute. Let me just give it a restart.
So in the Selenium script, we are just navigating to the page. That's it, right?
That's it. Yeah. So it's,
Nothing
and then
else.
we are clicking some, we are trying to just click few things. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it.
So so like some of the metrics were related to accessibility and other things, right? So
Yes.
those are all like WCAG guideline followed and everything on the index side, is it?
Sorry, can you come again?
So there is a guideline on the accessibility, right? WCAG, which is the guideline for the accessibility. So will that help me do the accessibility, or at least get started on the accessibility? What all parameters are included there? Is that something that you have explored, or on
Okay.
the
In the
accessibility
accessibility, I think
side?
it's more on the iframes and all, how it is
Oh,
managed.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like somebody has some visual concerns, or some have
Correct, correct.
some kind of disability. So like also in accessibility there are two areas. So usability is more on the everyone can use it, but accessibility
Hmm.
also covers some diverse user that we have for our browser. Yeah.
Correct. Oh, okay.
Okay. Uh, so sorry, one more minute. I'm just stuck with something, and now it should work. Okay, I think my JDK was messed up.
Hmm.
Because now I'm just shifting from to 11 to 17,
Yeah, I know.
and then it
I think I have 3 JDKs on my machine, maybe. Because all the repositories in our organization, they tend to use different versions of Java for some reason. Our
yeah.
automation uses some different version of Java, so that's why.
Just give me a minute. So this is what happens when we play around a lot with our own areas.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me do one thing. Let me just go back to the other topic, and I'll just
Yes.
come
Yeah.
back over here again. Yeah. So
Yes.
while
You
in
can.
parallel, I'll just work on it. Okay. So guys, I will just show it again in a minute how this execution works. But at the end, we'll see this Lighthouse report coming up, and which will help you to get that detail out. Okay. Then looking at the time, so I'll just go to the second topic. The second topic is we all know that we are running Seleniums, right? And then earlier, I remember we used to go for Selenium Node and Selenium Grid,
Mm-hmm.
where we used to run this parallel execution, right? And I remember
Yeah.
that we used to always get a different desktop, like a virtual desktop, and when we used to go to a remote connection over there, and we used to check how the execution is actually working. Yeah. Nowadays, you have a lot of software as a solution where you have Source Lab or Browser Stack, where they give you that execution platform, and you can execute your Seleniums over there. The good thing is they will provide you this feature of also looking at the UI. But again, it comes with a cost.
Yeah.
All these services then have a monthly subscription or an overall on-prem installation cost. What we normally do is when we run via Jenkins or we run via Git Action Pipeline, we normally go with a headless mode, okay, because it is faster. It is more accurate than having it on a more UI layer. And specifically when you have all your Docker image and then pods running with the Linux system, you do not have a UI as
Mm-hmm.
such, right? So Unix and Linux will always, when you run Selenium on those systems, they are always running headless. And
Yeah.
majorly many infrastructure setup are done on Linux and Unix kind of operating systems. You will not see many of the DevOps people working on more Windows kind of areas. So what the problem that I was trying to tackle is I was running an end-to-end scenario which was running across 7 different applications. We start from one place and then we are going it. And there were around
Mm-hmm.
80 to 100 steps until we reach the whole end-to-end scenario gets complete. And this is what we are talking about, one scenario. Now the whole scenario earlier when we started used to take 4 hours. We kept on optimizing to reach until 1 hour, but that's the one where we stop. So let's say when I initiate the execution, for 1 straight hours, I have absolutely no idea what is happening because I cannot go into the Linux operating system and see on the UI because there is no UI. Everything is running on the headless mode. Yeah. And then we were thinking, okay, how can we get that running information on our end-to-end scenario, which will give us a picture how many test cases are passed. Yeah. So even if it could be one end-to-end scenario, or it could be your own Selenium suite that you're running with 500 to 1000 test cases, where at the end you get a report coming out and that will show you, okay, how many passed and failed. But if you need to get that interim information while it is still running, that how many have been passed, what is the current status of it, that's what the problem that we are trying to tackle over here with this live status in Grafana. Okay, so the architecture looks like you have a Grafana which helps you, which is a dashboard tool which helps you to project a lot of things on a particular dashboard. And then for Grafana to work, it needs a data source from where it can read continuously.
Correct.
So you can use SQLite, you can use, there are many other applications available that you can use for the database storage. In today's demo, we are looking towards more InfluxDB. So InfluxDB is a time series database where you do not need to create any table and no column formatting. You can directly push in your data and it will reformat according to the time series. Yeah. So for every timestamp, then there are data coming up and then they will match it.
Okay.
And then we use Grafana to see how it looks like. Okay. So for this, it was a very easy setup. The good thing is we use Docker over here, Docker on desktop. For the people who are using Windows, can go for Docker command line for people if you're more into command line areas. And we need only 2 images. Yeah, one is for the InfluxDB and one is for Grafana. So let me just show you how it has happened. So you can directly go here on the search on your Docker and just say InfluxDB. Yeah, and then you can take the Alpine image, run it, and it will create an InfluxDB up and running. InfluxDB data up and running for you in Docker image. Yeah, so take the Alpine one. And then similarly for Grafana, you can take another image, maybe the main Grafana image, you pull it or you run it, and then it would also help you to execute it. So you can start and then it will run it. Just be careful about 2 things. One is you need to make sure which port are you running on so that you're not blocking each other on the same port and you're not using the the old ports where you are running some other applications over there. Yeah. So make sure the ports are there, and you can always, like you can see, you can click stop, and so once they are automatically, so this interface is really nice. Yeah, because I'm not too much into DevOps topic, but this is really helpful to get those people who are really new to Docker and do not want to learn all those commands on the command line, right? So you can just pull it, you can run it, and as soon as you run it, yeah, it would be initiated. Yeah, so there are 2 images that are running for you. You can see it is executing something, and then also over here for my InfluxDB, which is I've named Selenium for my database, and that's how it's running. And then you might say, okay, Mohit, it has been started, but how do we access it? We go back to the browser. Simple. So just open over here. Let's say, so we have everything is on me localhost. As I said, port is important. So 8086 was for my InfluxDB. You can see 8086. So we just say localhost 8086. Initially, this page will not occur for you. For you, it would be a page for sign up. So you create your own admin username and password so that it could be accessed. And then you come into your InfluxDB. Similarly, you go for localhost again. And then for Grafana, we use port 3000. You can see over here, 3000 port was used. And then it will come over here on the. These all settings, you can also view over here. But initially, when you're also trying to create it, it would ask you which port you have to use. Yeah. So normal suggestions from them is to use the same ports, 3000 for Grafana and 8086, but you can change it. Okay. So this is how the Grafana looks like. And if you go into the dashboard, yeah, we will see how the dashboard looks like. So you can create a lot of different dashboards or different panels of it. How the data will jump up, we'll just look at it. So let's set up. You can see this is how Grafana dashboard looks like. So if you go over here, let's say new dashboard, and then you can add different kind of, let's say, whatever database you want to use. Yeah. And then you can add different kind of visualization. You can see time series is there, visualization. You have bar charts, the way you want to present it, gauge, bar gauge, table kind of format also you have. You also have log files, which will also look into it, how the log files it looks like over here. So different kind of visualization that you can look at it. Yeah. Okay. That's the setup of Grafana and InfluxDB. Yeah. And again, as mentioned over here by Ganesh also, you can always directly DM to me as well if you have any concern how to set it up or what was the area. But I've uploaded the whole project as well into the GitHub, and then you can download it everything over here. Okay, so now even for this Grafana, Lighthouse, Selenium, and InfluxDB integration, you will find already there are topics available. People have done that research over here. What I am doing different is all those integration are very specific to the old classes that we used to write. You know, if I go over here in an example set, I have just kept it over here. Like you can see here, you know, the old style of testing that we used to do with the test suits and test app, and then you have different maybe over here examples that you can see @test. This is the old JUnit format that you should write. Would be focusing today more on the Cucumber structure. So more and more we are moving towards behavior-driven approach, and I think many people have adopted to write the Selenium with more Cucumber kind of structure, which give you like an English feature file, which can be read by any user, right? And looking at the screenshot, they can understand what you have executed instead of showing them this set to actually explain what you have done in the automation. Yeah. So this was a particularly kind of a difficult job because we wanted to understand when to send out the data. Yeah. One thing is hooks, right? Everyone has worked with the hooks. So you have this before and after hooks. Whenever the test is completed, you send out the data. But for me to get that live status, let's say if there are like 3 steps, okay, whether did this step pass for me or whether this passed for me or this failed, whatever is the input coming up, we wanted to go into a level deeper to really invoke our data sending to InfluxDB at the particular step execution that is happening. Yeah. Now for this, what we did is we override an interface that is called concurrent event listener. So this is something coming from Cucumber. So there is an event listener which is actually working on every step areas, and it's an interface. So we implemented the interface and we overridden with what we wanted to have it. Yeah. I'll just shortly give you an insight what is happening. We have created the event handled methods over here, and we are trying to override whenever the step was started and whenever the step is finished. Yeah, so that I get both the status on those areas. Yeah, and then there are particular steps that we are doing over here. So let's say when we are starting a step, what I'm doing is I'm trying to store the important information of my step. Let's say name of the scenario. When you say name of the scenario, it is this one. Okay, or maybe let's change it to, let's say, test 1. Yeah, or if you have second scenario, let's say test 2 over here, test 3. Yeah, something like this. So different scenarios that you have over here. Test 4. Okay, just for our part. And then sorry, over here. And then we are capturing other important information like keyword. So keyword is just to understand, okay, what kind of keyword we use for that, when, and then what information we are coming up. Step name itself. So step name would be more like, okay, what was the step over here? Login, user reaches portal. So this text is getting captured as part of step name. And then method name, just if you need more details into it. Yeah. So some might use it, some might not. I started using it initially, but then I think I removed it. I'm not even using it in my dashboard. Okay, so that is what we are trying to capture at the time of start of an event. And then at the stop of the event, what we are doing is we are just capturing the result. And if there is any error, we are trying to capture. So let's say that test case failed. I'm just trying to also get that data. What was the stack trace? So while I'm looking at my Grafana dashboard, I see, okay, which step failed and what was the issue for it. So the team can already start looking into it, what caused that issue, while the execution is still going on for the rest of the scenarios. Okay, so it's not getting blocked, the whole execution itself. And then we have, this is a very important method, it's an event publisher. So whatever you created over here as an event handler, you're trying to push it and publish it so that it overrides the current event handler of the start step and stop step. Yeah, so this class is very, very important. Yeah, and if you need more details, just ping Gunesh, or also let me know on LinkedIn, and then I can explain you how it was structured. Yeah, but then they are too much deep into topic. I just went into the Cucumber source code and tried to understand where is the interface coming from. Okay, then now come to the simple task. So what is happening now on the hooks part? Hooks part is fairly simple. There are only 2 areas what we do. So we have a before step and after step. Okay, before step we are just trying to get a timestamp when have we started the step, and after step we are again getting the timestamp, but we are also sending a post step method. Now, this is a step which is actually sending the data to InfluxDB. Yeah. So when, so that the annotation is after step, the hooks invokes, and what it gives the information is, I've created a measurement that's called test method. That's how the InfluxDB works. So you can have a measurement which says test method, and inside those measurement, then you can have different topics coming. So I send out the test class information, the scenario name that is coming up, step name, and then the result, the important thing, whether it was passed or failed. Yeah. And the duration. Duration is helpful because even if you want to capture how much time the step took to execute, this is again going towards a slightly performance and user experience area, but it's a good KPI that you get to understand how much time your step took to complete. Yeah. And then at the end, you have the result sender where you send this all information to InfluxDB. So I'll just show you a small input over here. So it's a result sender class. It's a very simple class over here. We have added an InfluxDB jar. It's in the pom.xml, which helps you to connect to the InfluxDB. So you can see the URLs over here, localhost, and the specific port that we want. The only change that I've done is I've added a client builder, which gives me an authorization token. Yeah. So there are two ways to do it. You do not need to follow this step as well. This is for me because I like working with tokens more. But if you go over here, you can also see that you have an option of, let's say, dear factory.connect. If you see, you will get an option of, let's say, username password as well. Yeah. So this is a connection string where you need to then pass on a username password. So it could be like, you can have a URL coming over here. Yeah. And then whatever username you have used, you can send it across as well. Yeah. And then it would be like a password. So that could be another solution. It's an easy connection over here. I just wanted to go for the token part because then for me, its tokens are much better. Okay, so this also you can use to connect to InfluxDB. Yeah, so that's a fairly simple. So this would remove all those static blocks that I've created. This part of the code would be gone, and you would be directly connecting to the InfluxDB via this code. Yeah, where you say just the URL, the username, and the password. Okay. Then you connect to a database. This is the name of the database that we created while doing the InfluxDB. So I can just show you how it goes in. Yeah, here. So if I go in over here, you can see this is my initial InfluxDB name Selenium that I'm using. And inside this database, I have created a bucket. So bucket is called test. Yeah, so this is the name of my bucket where I'm inserting actually the data. You can have multiple buckets coming inside your Selenium InfluxDB. One thing important is also token is something that you can generate over here saying API token. You just click on generate API token, access to API token, and then you can put up a description and save, and it will generate a token for you. Okay, so that's how you can get into token information of InfluxDB. So again, inside InfluxDB, you go into the buckets. If you have created a bucket inside the test, this is the code, this is the data where it would be loaded. And for you to generate the API token, this is where you generate the API token. So you can see I have my own API token, which is having all the admin access. Then I have a Grafana API token where Grafana is trying to collect into the InfluxDB. Okay, so coming back to the code area over here. So you can see this is how it is connected. And now I'll just show you the simple, it's a very simple feature file that I've created. So I'll very simple methods are over there. I'm just putting a thread.sleep. Wherever I want to fail a step, I've just said assert.fail. Yeah. So let's execute this, and then we will see how is it running on the Grafana dashboard. So let's say we come to the dashboard. Let's say I have a copy. So you can see currently there's nothing there. Let's set up a 5-minute slot. Yeah. So I've started. You can see the test is getting initialized. Yeah. Now it's starting a step. Just 1 minute. Wait. Okay. Sorry. My bad. My InfluxDB connection was not updated because I changed it while uploading the token. Just 1 minute. I need to give my token here, and then it should be. Yeah. Okay. So rerunning it. Okay, so now you can see the steps that are getting connected are coming up over here. Yeah. So now you can see there are some areas that are getting not coming up over here because the test measurements are not correct. So I'll show you how to get that data. You simply just click on edit, how the dashboard looks like. So it's a simple select query over here, what you have. Yeah. So you're trying to get step, name, result, duration, and you might say, okay, Mohit, how do we know where are you inserting that data? So if you go back to the method that we looked into, where we are actually inserting it, that was in the step data. No, sorry. Into simple exam, into hooks, sorry. So over in the hooks, you can see this is the measurement, and then these are the fields that I've added. Yeah. So if I go back into the select query, my measurement is like a table inside InfluxDB. Okay, so that is test method. And then you can see there is a scenario name that we use. So let's say if you say now scenario name over here, step name is the step changes to step name, and then you have result. You come out, you can see the values are coming up. So this is how it goes into InfluxDB. In InfluxDB, I have not created any table named as test method. I have not created any table named as error or something like this. This gets automatically created. Yeah, that's the fun part of InfluxDB. So when you push the data from here, every measurement that you say is then acting like a table, and every field then goes into a column area. Then you have tags, but let's not go into too much into over there. But yeah, you can also make this tag as a field also. So both are possible. Yeah. Similarly, for errors, you can see there's another table that I added for the specifically for errors. So in case something is failing up, let's say let me make those save changes and apply. So you can see over here there was one error. Yeah, this can be removed, not required. So you can see there were two errors that came up, and then you have getting those information of why it was failed. The assertion was null over here because in my assert fail there is nothing assertion that I'm happening. Yeah, so if it is the first stack line that I'm getting over here from here, this Java line is set null. Yeah, and if you need even more information, we have also sent it across like a full stack over here. So again, simple. There are two areas, right? You add a field. Let's say over here.
So Mohit, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So the bucket that you created, right? So that
Yes.
bucket is like for an execution or for.
So bucket is like a database for storing that data that we are sending it out.
Okay. So let's say if I run the whole regression, then I have to create one more bucket, right? If
no, it would be in the same one. So if you see like for this, if I go for the last 6 servers, it's the same data that we have many places. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's say if I want to, is there any limit on the buckets? So let's say I run, because we have close to now 5,000 cases which run. So searching into those records, even on the stepwise, it gets really difficult. So if I were to create a bucket, I could obviously create an API token which can do that, and then create it from my Java thing also, right? Before the execution starts.
Yes, you can do that. Yes. But there is no limitation on the bucket. Yeah. So it all depends on how much size you have on your Docker image. So when you create the Docker file, you can adjust how much size it is using. And that depending on that, the Docker file is using size on your system. So there is no limitation as such on the InfluxDB side. You can use whatever storage information data you or that storage you have in your system.
Yeah. Okay. And this, sorry. And this dashboard can have a public URL. Like if I expose it on a server.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when you expose it on the server, you just, as I said, like you use an API token to connect it, or you need a username password to connect to that particular URL, and then you are done there. Yeah. So that's the fun part of Grafana. So this can be definitely the Grafana itself can be sent out as a URL which everyone can access it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is really cool. I mean, I like it because we have been working with report portal and stuff, but it doesn't have a dashboard which can be exposed so directly. But yeah, this one looks like a really, really cool solution.
Yeah, I'm also still learning Grafana because of these. There are many areas that we can improve on. Yeah. So even just shortly, let's say for this panel, right?
Yeah.
You can see like we have added this. You can add a threshold. So in case like the response time is going higher for something, you can see that. Then you can say pass fail. You can add those value mapping, like also skipped In case some test cases are skipped, you can
Okay.
say, okay, they're
Okay.
marked as yellow, no executed due to any reason that they were not executed. You can and then everything. Then also you can have those different areas like pie charts, so where you can see those different status, how many passed, how many failed, and your overall view. And also for the failed ones particularly, then you also get that full stack traces coming up, right? So why it failed, which step failed. So I do not need to wait for my whole 5,000 test case to complete and see at the final report what failed and passed. I can just look
Correct.
into it
Correct.
to see how the final status are going in. Yeah.
Okay. Just out of
Yeah.
curiosity, is there
Yes.
anything, mm, I don't know, some kind of machine learning inference that I can add on top of this, so
Mm-hmm.
that I can get like what are my frequent errors and which ones are flaky or something like that? Is there anything that we can put on top of Grafana? Oh, sorry, on InfluxDB or Grafana, whatever, which
Yeah.
can give me something like that? I don't know.
I do not have that information right now. We can check that. But normally Grafana also provide you a lot of information over here. So let's say, like common labels, or also if you need to like timestamp is coming up, so you can check at what time it was created. And they also have that group by functionality. So how many failed due to null pointer exception? How many failed due to element not find exceptions?
Ah,
You can go over there.
yeah.
How many failed due to really there was an issue with the functional area. So you can then club them to get that
That
overall
will be
figures.
really useful. Yeah, yeah.
Correct. So still, for me, it's a Grafana. I'm still exploring it, but you can see there are like a lot of transformation, and you can really play around with it. Yeah, it's a full topic on Grafana, how to get that dashboard up and running. But yeah, you can get all those things done over here.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can see
Yeah,
like
this is
common
really
labels,
cool. I
right?
mean, we were looking at something like this, and we didn't really find a perfect solution. But I think this is something we are already, I think, over time. But yeah, we have
Yes,
few questions from Abhishek actually on the chat.
sure.
So so the first one is for starters, who wants to introduce this? Do you have any resources to get started with? So Abhishek, the GitHub repo which Mohit compiled, those are already
Yes,
shared on the chat, so you can go through them. Those will be useful, I guess. And I think the one is there on the screen, and the second one that Mohit is just opening up. So those will help you get started. Uh, the second question is, if I understood, this will complement the performance test for API, which is generally done by JMeter, and this will be good addition to build better KPIs. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. So like Mohit also said, right? It gives you an early insight. I mean, what I have
Hmm.
seen as a process is JMeter comes really, really after everything is done.
Correct.
I never seen JMeter being done. Maybe at a, like, we have various pods. It's never done at a pod level when a pod completes a feature or something. It's never on that side. It's always when the release build is done and everything is there, the functionalities got tested, then we go for JMeter. So I think this is really a good point that we can integrate it way before what is needed. And the third point he has is, looks like we can containerize them to make it part of the pipeline for seamless setup. Yeah, I think like you, I think if you are referring to the Grafana, these are all Dockerized things. So I think, yeah, you can obviously do a seamless setup using your pipeline. You can add the container pulls and start making use of them. Yeah, I think those were the comments. If you want to add anything to that, Mohit, please feel free.
No, definitely. Like one thing, just like even we are writing those JavaScript and everything inside our JMeter script also. They're actually not giving that rendering information, right? So how is it
Mm,
getting really the page is getting rendered? Yeah, that's how it
correct.
is slightly different.
Yeah.
And the second thing is we have this tool called Gutling. So Gutling together with Karate framework. So Karate framework is very specific to JavaScript.
Yeah.
Again, it helps you to
Hmm.
write the automation both on UI and API. But if you write a script in Karate framework, you can use the same script into Gutling for the performance as well. Yeah, so it will give you that information over there. And then that kind of integration of these tools will help you to do it faster. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, I think Abhishek also mentions that the Puppeteer is being used, still being used, being well
Okay.
maintained. Yeah.
Good. Any other queries from anyone?
I don't see any other queries. So yeah, I think yes. So I think we are drawing to the closure now. So thank you, Mohit. Thank you once again. Thank you for your time
Thanks a
again.
lot.
And it
Thank
was
you.
really, really wonderful. The second part obviously was really helpful to me. So we are going to try this out because we
Sure.
have been struggling for this for quite some time to build something live. And whatever solutions I looked at, they were either pricey or they were not really
Yes.
helpful in getting what we wanted. So I think
Correct.
this Grafana influx is quite a good combination, and I'm actually looking forward to using it very, very soon.
Sure.
Let me see if there are any closing questions. No, we don't. Okay, thank you again. Thank you for your time, Mohit. It was a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
have you. And people, if you have any questions, do reach out to Mohit on LinkedIn. He's always available for the questions. I have bugged him a couple of times for this session, so he's definitely available. I can vouch for it. And thank you again for joining us today. And be in touch. Stay tuned on the Liberated Tester. Follow us, and you will be able to see a lot more updates and a lot more useful things coming up. So thank you again, and have a good day, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you, Mohit. It was a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Bye bye.
Bye.